This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast with original independent science fiction written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer, and your narrator, Mike Luoma. And I've got Chapter 13, Lucky 13, of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur coming up on this episode. Alibi Jones just recovered and returned the lost or stolen Dakhur artifact to the Sunrise of Hur. But the Dakhur mistakenly blame Alibi in a way for the incident that caused its disappearance, which is not fair. He is not at fault, and he has suffered as much as anyone. But they kind of blame him. They weren't even going to let him land on the planet, but he talked his way down, and he was able to give the tiara with its blood-red stone, this alien relic that means so much to the Dakhur people. He was able to give it back to them. Now, having given it back, Alibi Jones is waiting for a trend-space jump point to head back to his home on Cat's Eye and see what's waiting for him there. And we'll find out as well, coming up in Chapter 13 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur, on this episode of Glow in the Dark Radio. Just want to point out, this is episode 799 this week. So it's going to be episode 800 next week. I'm not going to do anything major, but it will be a supersized episode with chapter 14 and the inserted short story, Alibi Jones in Over His Head, both included. This is the one case where I did a comic book story that took place within a novel. The comic book story Alibi Jones in Over His Head takes place inside of this novel, Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur, and in particular takes place inside of Chapter 14. So we'll have Chapter 14 up to where the short story takes place, the comic book short story adaptation, and then the rest of Chapter 14 coming up on our next episode, which is episode 800. Coming up next week. I don't know if, stuff comes my way or I get inspired, we may do more, but that's what I'm planning for episode 800 at this point. Now, I am at Balticon this weekend. I'm not physically at Balticon because I was not able to drive down and attend, but I am virtually at Balticon 59 happening this weekend. It's happening actually physically down in the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, Maryland. But I will be zooming in from Vermont and on 4 different panels, 4 virtual panels as part of the weekend. On Saturday at 1, self-editing strategies. Saturday at 2:30, marketing for the indie. And Saturday at 7 p.m., building community to survive your writing journey. And Sunday at 1 p.m., we'll go from concept to final draft with the authors involved. So that's 4 different panels. Details on the whole shebang, on everything that's happening, are at balticon.org. Or if you want to find out about my schedule, just go to my Patreon or to my Substack. That's patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio or glowinthedarkradio.substack.com. And a big thank you to my patrons who support the show through Patreon. You can do that as well for $5, $10 a month, $2, $5, or $10 a month at patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. We'll get into Chapter 13 next.
Under 30,000 feet of water, the exploration rig Liger has discovered an oil field larger than Saudi Arabia, with oil so sweet and pure, nations would go to war for the rights to it. But as the team starts drilling exploration wells in their race to claim the sweet crude, a deep rumbling beneath the ocean floor shakes them to their core. Something has been living in the oil. Paul E. Cooley's The Black is a techno-horror thriller reminiscent of movies such as Leviathan and The Thing, and puts terror right into readers' ears. The Black, a free podcast novel available from shadowpublications.com and iTunes. Ocean exploration will never be the same.
Now here's Chapter 13 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur on Glow in the Dark Radio. The cruiser rises up off the surface of Hur, but Alibi's mood gets no lift from the takeoff.
Here's your race's priceless artifact, the one that went missing when you invited Katie and me to her kidnapping.
Alibi lingers in orbit, lost in his thoughts, until he's invited to leave by Hur Central Control.
This is Hur Central. The Trans-Space Jump Point is available, safe cruiser.
Gotcha. Thanks, Alibi says. Alibi's mood darkens as he pilots his cruiser to the near Hur Trans-Space Jump Point.
I know a bunch of Dakhur died that night, but so did most of my world, my life. And yet they act like it's my fault. You people invited us into the arms of our enemy. So why do I feel guilty? Like Anita says, it's not my fault. It's lava lore. Dakhur ingrates. I even went and found your foolish crown thing. And what do I get? No parades. Nothing. I suppose Rakar at least said thank you.
Alibi calls up the coordinates for the trip home. Guess that's it, huh? Alibi talks to himself as the cruiser completes the calculations for the jump to Cat's Eye. Well, at least I've got you, he says to the ship. The ship, in this case, doesn't answer back. The routine jump to Cat's Eye is uneventful. The messages waiting for Alibi once he gets home are not. Instead of forwarding them to the wand, he'd told the home system to hold all his calls. Now he's got a bunch to listen to.
Jones!
The first, second, third, fourth, and fifth through 10th messages are all from Brandywine. She is all too happy to inform him that his grace period for finding the Sunrise of Hur has ended.
You are now delinquent. Report in person to Mediation Corps Central Command upon receipt of this communication. Brandywine out.
Oh, well, since you put it so nicely. Guess I've got to head back to Earth orbit. No rest for the weary.
He decides to rest anyway. It's been a while since he's been home and can lie in his own bed. Alibi tries to get some sleep before leaving Cat's Eye for Earth space and facing Brandywine.
She can wait until tomorrow. I can certainly wait on more of her chastisement and blame.
Alibi doesn't sleep very well, all the same. He winds up groggy and bleary-eyed, and the refresher doesn't help. He heads for his cruiser without checking messages, turning his forwarding back on.
Pretty sure I know what they're all gonna say. I'll get him off the wand later.
Alibi launches his cruiser back into space. He heads to the solar system via the near-Earth Trans-Space Jump Point. Brandywine is stationed in a facility in orbit over Earth. The coordinates have been piped repeatedly to his home comm units and his wand.
Yes, Brandywine, I know where I'm supposed to be.
When he comes out of the near-Earth Trans-Space Jump Point, Alibi calls into HQ and informs them he's on his way. He plots his course to the station, and then heads for the inevitable dress-down at Mediation Corps headquarters.
You are a disgrace to the Mediation Corps! Brandywine yells in Alibi's face. It's about the third time she's said it. He has long ago tuned her out, letting his mind wander, waiting for the sound of her voice to stop. His chewing out began as soon as Brandywine set her eyes on him. It's been going on ever since, at least 15 minutes now. Alibi allows his mind to pretend she's speaking another language, one he can't understand. It turns her tirade into simple noise he can tune out. As he ignores her, Alibi takes in his surroundings in Colonel Brandywine's office. The wall on his right is plain, broken up by two long horizontal windows looking out onto the earth as it floats in space. The wall on his left is made up of windows onto an interior corridor of the station and is covered by a beige curtain. The wall behind the screaming woman is a shrine to her career, filled with plaques and pictures from her past assignments and successes. There are many pictures of Brandywine smiling and shaking hands. At least, Alibi thinks it's Brandywine, but the almost pleasant-looking person in the images bears little resemblance to the noisemaker currently unloading on him. He stares at the pictures and focuses and unfocuses his eyes as she rants on. When the noise subsides, Alibi focuses his attention back on Brandywine and the moment at hand. "Did you hear me, Jones?" the authoritarian woman demands. "Every word," Alibi lies. "Are you ready to be a contributing member of this organization?" She screams the question. "I have been and plan to continue to be," Alibi responds, formally. She scowls at him. "Did you know? We have a new diplomatic initiative we are to spearhead, Jones," Brandywine says. "The SA is attempting to draw some of the more renegade elements of humanity back into the Solar Alliance. I was going to assign you to this initiative, Jones," she tells him, sounding almost respectful. "You would have been perfect for it." Where's she going with this?
Brandywine's manner reverts to her previous berating tone as she turns back on Alibi with a wagging finger.
"Then I was informed that involving you would make the whole enterprise a non-starter. Why do you suppose that is, Jones? Why would involving one specific mediator ruin the process?"
"How should I know?" Alibi protests. "Somebody holds a grudge?"
"Why are you persona non grata on Kismet, Jones?" she asks.
Oh, Kismet, of course.
"They don't like me on Kismet because they kill and kidnap people I know, and that makes me upset with them. So I don't cut them any breaks and I call them on their BS. Stuff like that." Alibi tries understatement.
The SA is considering doing business with Lavalor? Never good to dance with the devil. You end up getting burned.
"Is that so?"
Brandywine looks like she knows more than she's letting on.
"I'm not sure why we're engaging with gangsters, but I don't make the orders. We don't get to decide who we're negotiating with or who we help to negotiate."
She shakes her head. Then she glares back at Alibi.
"Well, Jones," Brandywine says, "I'm determined to make use of you. Make all the trouble you've been worth something to me. And we can't send you to Kismet, so we're sending you underwater."
"What?" Alibi asks. "Underwater?"
"Ever hear of the Key Click, Jones?"
Brandywine asks. "The Key Click, are they aliens?" She gives him a "how dumb are you" look.
"They are,"
she says, her voice heavy with sarcasm. Then she grows more serious.
"Think dolphins, sort of. Only longer, with limbs. And technology, Jones. Aquatic life."
"Oh."
"We are always trying to find new allies, Jones. You know that," Brandywine says. "The Key Click are a species that live on worlds with H2O, water worlds. We think there's an opportunity to make an alliance between the SA and the Key Click. They control 2 worlds on the edge of Dakhur space, between the Dakhur and the Greater Ta. We're just starting to engage with the Key Click."
So what? What do you want me to do?"
"Quiet, Jones!" Brandywine snaps at him. "I expect you to do your job!"
Alibi jumps a little at her shout and straightens back to attention.
"And I'm getting to that," she says, mellowing a tad. "It's really just a basic get-to-know-each-other contact session. But first, you need a special atmospheric suit, a water suit," she says. You'll need to head to Crankshaft. We have a scientist from the project lined up who can outfit you with the needed technology. There's an SA scientist there who specializes in atmospheres, a Dr. Mannings. She'll take care of you.
You want me to go see her to get outfitted for the mission?
Well, yes. We don't know how long that will take, but while you're on Crankshaft, we can brief you on mission specifics, she says.
He continues before she can.
Great, so you don't need me to stay here then. Can I go now? Yes, I suppose,
Brandywine agrees, wrinkling her nose.
Dismissed!
Alibi drops out of attention and tries to move in one movement toward the door.
Jones!
What? He stops in the doorway.
Need to yell some more?
Be careful. The key click might look a little like dolphins, but they are dangerous in their own right,
she warns.
Gotcha,
Alibi says.
Huh. She almost sounded concerned there for a second.
I really was going to send you to Kismet, Jones,
she says, reverting to her hectoring tone one last time.
Too bad they don't like you. I hear it's a nice vacation place.
Think you've heard wrong, Brandywine, Alibi says. Unless you like slavery and involuntary cybernetic surgery.
Quiet, Jones.
She shushes him.
Go do your job.
Yes, ma'am. Alibi leaves Brandywine's office. He walks through headquarters station, back to the port where his ship waits. His cruiser has been completely resupplied, one of the benefits of docking at headquarters.
Back to work. Back to normal? Weird. What the hell is normal anymore? Gotta call this Dr. Mannings. Let her know I'm coming to Crankshaft. It is pretty cool to meet a new race. I've heard of the Key Click just playing dumb with Brandywine. We made first contact with them just a short time ago. They are still relatively new to humankind. Have to download all we know about them to my wand. Study up on them while I wait for this Dr. Mannings to do her thing.
Alibi makes the jump to Crankshaft. He soon finds himself at the project's lab on the planet. The building is a lot like the one Krish works in on Rigel 4. Dr. Rita Mannings, a short, heavy-set woman in her mid-40s, is in charge of the atmospherics lab at the facility. His call ahead to her leads to Dr. Mannings meeting him at the laboratory entrance when he arrives at the facility. Alibi Jones? Good to see you, the scientist says, as she greets him with a handshake. Alibi catches a whiff of menthol cough drops when she speaks. She turns and leads Alibi into the building. He follows her in through the lab's doors. I was glad to hear I would be working with you, she says. My old friend Dr. Krish has always spoken well of you. You know Krish, Alibi says. Well, I guess you would, both being in the project and all. I've known him my whole life. She leads Alibi in and through the building. You know, I actually met you when you were much younger, she tells Alibi. You came to the lab with your aunt, Anita Capituna, back when she was prime rep. I was working with Dr. Krish at the time. He introduced us. Sorry, Alibi apologizes. I don't remember. She smiles. Who wouldn't expect you to? You were pretty young, 5 or 6 years old. They reach a windowless room deep inside the facility. Mannings leads him in, shows him what looks like an EVA suit submerged in a ceiling-high tank of water. Wait until you see what we have for you, Mannings says. The Key Click homeworld is a water planet. My assistant and I will equip you with the SA's latest underwater technology. She smiles at Alibi. You'll be able to stay on board your ship most of the time, so that's fine. The EVA suit is similar to most you've seen, it's just a little different. What about giving me gills or something, Doc? Alibi asks, knowing the answer. Some kind of biological modification to my physiology, to let me breathe underwater. Alibi? We can't! It's against the law! Those kind of modifications... What? Those enhancements have been illegal in the Solar Alliance for quite some time, Mr. Jones. Dr. Mannings scolds him. Really? Alibi plays dumb. He wants to see how the doctor will react. Since the biological purity conventions were passed, those sort of genetic or cybernetic enhancements are illegal. Doesn't seem to stop people like Renee Lavalore, Alibi says. Dr. Mannings looks at him, puzzled. The Kismet guy? She asks. He nods. His people attacked a wedding party I was at, he tells her. But they weren't all people anymore, you know? They were all enhanced with
extra mechanical stuff. He isn't bound by the laws of the Alliance, or any moral code, she says. The expression on her face says she doesn't approve of Lava Lore and his methods. They do things to people they shouldn't. I know, Alibi admits. He tries to lighten things up by joking with her. So, no gills, huh? She glares at him, then cracks a smile when she realizes he's messing with her. Well then, Alibi says, give me what you can, Doc. Over the next week, Mannings equips Alibi with a sleek suit that fits nearly skin-tight, allowing Alibi easy movement in a foreign environment. Nano servos compensate for the drag of the water against the suit. Alibi should be able to move underwater at the same speed as he moves above water. Microfilters across the surface of the suit will pull in oxygen from the water, if present and available, supplementing the suit's built-in air supply. It's not gills, but it's close, Mannings tells Alibi, as the suit is loaded on board his cruiser, after the week's worth of fitting, adaptation, and testing is complete. Close as we can get, legally. Thanks again, Doc, Alibi says. I'll let you know how it goes. Good, she says. I look forward to hearing a full report from you. Best of luck, Alibi Jones.
That was Chapter 13 of Alibi Jones and the Sunrise of Hur on Glow-in-the-Dark Radio. Well, Alibi Jones is on his way to see the aquatic aliens known as the Kiklik. Our next episode is our 800th episode. It features both Chapter 14, the next chapter of the novel, and the Alibi Jones short story, In Over His Head, which takes place inside of Chapter 14, inside of the next chapter. So it's going to be a supersized episode 800, our next episode of Glow-in-the-Dark Radio. And a reminder, I am at Balticon 59 this weekend. If you're listening early Saturday, you can catch me on panels at 1, 2:30, and 7. If you're listening on Sunday, you still have a chance to catch me. I'm on one panel Sunday at 1 p.m. More details at patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio or glowinthedarkradio.substack.com. And that is all for this week. I will be back with big old episode 800 next time around. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio. Glow in the Dark Radio. This podcast presentation is copyright 2025 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NC-ND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.